Weapons that hold divine blessing is an old trope. In Greek mythology, Kronos overthrew his father Uranus with harpe or harp. I don't know how that's pronounced. In Christian mythology, a flaming sword guarded the Garden of Eden. And historically, there's been many famous, supposedly divine weapons carried by past rulers, like Caesar, who carried Crocea Mors. Again, I don't know how to pronounce that. And Attila the Hun carried the Sword of Mars. And the good King Arthur, whether a man or a Celtic myth, carried Excalibur, meaning steel, which later, through translation after translation, the game of telephone that is history, came to be known as Excalibur.
Girt was he also with Caliburn, best of the swords, that was forged within the Isle of Avalon, and the lance that did grace his right hand was called by the name Ron. A tall lance and stout, full meat to do slaughter withal.
Researching Arthur and all of his divine gear kind of makes me more interested in a movie about his lance named Ron than Excalibur, but maybe that's just me. Depending on the telling, Arthur appears as a gifted fighter of human and supernatural enemies in his early days, a lot like Link. And when Arthur pulls the sword from the stone, it signifies him as the rightful heir to the British kingdom. Though later in battle, that same sword breaks and he's given the true Excalibur by a lady in the lake. Of course, if you happen to have played Zelda Breath of the Wild, then you know how annoying it is to have your sword shatter mid-fight, and just how desirable that supposed unbreakable Master Sword is, especially early game. Like Excalibur, the Master Sword was crafted in another realm. It's a slayer of darkness, it's bright as 30 torches, and unbreakable. And that last bit is kind of true. But if one wandered into the Lost Woods and managed to make it all the way to the sword, early game, they'd die before they'd be capable of pulling it from the stone. Like the heroes of old, you need to slay a couple monsters and complete your trials before Link has enough hearts, health, spirit, whatever you want to call it, to pull the sword from the stone. Playing the game, this resonated with me. You don't simply get the sword, you have to work for it. Even if Link was the original keeper of the sword, it has been returned to the source by Zelda to recharge, and until he is ready to take up the mantle once again. This isn't just about some farm boy coming along and pulling the sword from the stone. This is about what the sword and the stone represents and has always represented, and it's cool that Zelda has found a new way to tell it, because it seems to strip it from the old Christian undertones and distill the narrative down to its bare bones. In the macro, the sword fixed and rusting in the stone represents the kingdom as a whole. So long as the sword is rusting away, so too does the kingdom, slowly going to ruin, waiting for the right person to lead the people back to a better life. And on the micro, the sword represents mind over matter, the sword over the stone. Just as the sword is unbreakable, it takes someone with an unbreakable will to wield it. Someone that won't compromise or concede to the impossible task that's set before them is someone who can be a just king. But what does it mean to be a king in the modern world? Taken as metaphor, each of us is the king and the kingdom, the queen and the queendom, if you prefer. In other words, someone who can rule over themselves. The wielding of the magic sword represents the personal dragons that the hero has slayed on their way. They haven't hid away from that thing eating at them, telling them that they're not good enough. They've pulled the sword from the stone and proven their power, or as Campbell put it, their vitality. And a vital person vitalizes. Once wielded, it's likely that the kingdom will be set right, because the sword represents a particular type of power, power in the best interest of the kingdom. In this case, the citizens of Hyrule, and prior to that it was the Britons. The fact that the sword chooses a person that will brand it in selfless power rather than selfish power is an important distinction, and one that isn't lost on the Zelda series. The Triforce, the holy grail-like boon of many Zelda titles, is an item that combines the spirits of the three goddesses that created Hyrule, the kingdom in the game, and each third represents one of their distinguishing traits. Wisdom, represented by the blue energy, courage, represented by the green energy, and power, represented by the red energy. There's a reason Calamity Ganon, the big bad evil guy of the Breath of the Wild campaign, would be repelled by the sword. He represents selfish power, malice incarnate, whereas Link, like Arthur before him, represents a sort of unquestionable beneficence. He's the good guy, no doubt. Zelda 2. The two of them heroes that will set the kingdom right without compromise, even in the face of certain death. But again, what does talk of saving kingdoms mean to us today? Why should it resonate? We can't save the world, right?
Unlike the classical heroes, we're not going on our journey to save the world, but to save ourselves.
And in doing that, you save the world. I mean, you do. The influence of a vital person vitalizes. There's no doubt about it. The world is a wasteland. And the thing is to bring it to life. And the way to bring it to life is to find in your own case where your life is and be alive yourself, it seems to me.
So that, to me, at least, is the Sword and the Stone mythos in a nutshell. It's mind over matter. It's this idea of a vital person vitalizing, to repeat Joseph Campbell, of proving as an example to those around them that may have let their quote-unquote kingdom go to waste, that they can be more than what they think they can be. Link, for instance, breathes new life into the wild around him. See what I did there? So, to me, stories of heroines and heroes that fight against overwhelming odds to return justice to a failing kingdom are important right now. And maybe that's a little bit of a lofty takeaway, but that's part of the reason why I'm, giving a face to this disembodied voice that have, followed the other videos. I get it. Like, it's a game where you massacre bokoblins and harvest their bones and guts to make potions to make you better at massacring bokoblins. But the lore behind it, the mythos behind it is what I'm getting at. And hopefully you dig what I'm saying. And the other reason why I'm showing my face is because I wanted to give as personal or authentic a thank you I could to those that have liked and subscribed, and the countless strangers that have, I shouldn't say countless, about 77 of you that have left comments that are super encouraging. I dropped off the face of the earth there in September due to work, and when I returned back, all I got was all these encouraging comments like, keep going, keep up the good work, like, keep making these videos, they're great. And I can't thank you enough. It means a lot, seriously, because sometimes you feel like you're screaming into the void, so actually having the the void look back or say something back that's encouraging is pretty freaking cool. And I wanted to say thank you. So if you think that this video or any of my other videos would interest one of your friends or family, or hell, even if it's going to interest your enemies, then send it to them. I would appreciate it. And thank you for watching this video to this end if you made it this far. Take care.